Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Alongside Ash, I'm Brent. There you are, brother. Talk to me.
Hey, how are you?
Very
Got
good.
me?
Very good.
Good,
Yes,
good, good.
sir. Of course I have. You're
Well, I wasn't
think.
sure if my headphones were working or not, so,
No, you're doing great. Good morning, sir. How are
Good
you?
morning. I'm great. I'm
Hey,
great.
I had something for you. In our constant quest, at least my constant quest, to be edgy, cutting edge, I found some new original music that I thought I would play just to get to kind of see if you think this goes with a talk show.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Won't work for the censors of Facebook, but it works for me.
Yeah. That's why I do it. I do it just because some little dude from India is going, I got the one. I got the one. Yeah. Did y'all even watch
Myanmar.
Did you watch the Tonight Show in Canada?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We had six stations as opposed to your three because we had
Unless
the
there was
CBC.
hockey night.
We had the CBC. We had CTV, which was Canadian television. Then we had a local. Then we had a local.
A percentage of the television had to be Canadian original, right?
Yes.
It was
the CBC.
market.
The CBC is still owned by the government, funded by the government. CTV was private network of stations similar to CBS, but they had content stipulations.
Looking
and
back,
then we had a local channel in Calgary.
As you look back, was it propaganda television? Even though I think of Canada as being somewhat benign, not like they were trying to jam socialism down your throat on their government-run television, but
what happened was stuff that wouldn't have made television in an open and fair market because it was just crap programming.
Right.
That wasn't interesting to anybody, but because Canadians made it, and you could have somebody just, it was like a bunch of independent filmmakers getting their stuff to a mass audience because they were forced to carry it. Whether you liked it or not, it was there. And I mean, things like SCTV, very funny, right?
Right.
Kids
John
in the Hall.
Candy and those folks.
But there was, the Red Green Show was Canadian, and I did not like that show. But there was very little that appealed to me as a kid growing up. I mean, Anne of Green Gables was our Dukes of Hazzard, if you will. That's how pathetic Canadian television
was. So why not watch
growing up.
Dukes of Hazzard?
Real quick,
we'll come back
Friday
to
night
it.
on CBS.
Scott Snow, Marvin Mikish, and my buddy Mark Kurtz top the podium.
Daniel Wade White. Daniel Wade White tops the podium. Are you missing him?
I
see Daniel Wade White atop the podium.
Well, there you go, because you're on the Canadian version.
I am.
Of our program. I see Scott Snow, Marvin Mikish, and Mark Kurtz, but welcome Daniel Wade White. I also want to give a shout out to my buddy Bruce Woods. We are multi-continental, as he says, good morning from Ubon Ratchathani, Thailand. I say that with a Spanish accent. And then Shelby comes in on Wendy Hughes Garcia's feed with, I can tell that it's not Wendy. It's a complete sentence, perfectly punctuated, with a smiley face at the end. Says, hi, Wade and Carter. Shelby here. Are y'all having a good morning? That remains to be seen, young listener. The Wade and Carter weather
Jacobs
brought to you, as always, by the fantastic friends at Deerland Feed. Deerland Feed literally has everything you need. In fact, look here. Always in the studio.
Even red funnel.
I can think of no reason. Number one, the hole's not big enough for the alcohol we consume. So there's no reason. We could always
cheers. Yep.
Right. But you could, but the funnel is so cheap that I bought one for the studio. Not because we need it. It's kind of like shopping at Harbor Freight. The deals are so good, you don't care that the stuff doesn't work right out of the box. So it's good. We've got that. Deerland Feed has, what do you see? What's your problem?
I may lose my headphones this morning. Apparently,
That's okay.
They didn't charge last night.
Yeah. Folks, again, how often do you hear me say, like, every time I do something really stupid, Ash says, that's the first rule of radio. Don't sing, don't do something stupid. But you had one job, man.
They were in my charging case, and my charging case shows completely full charge.
You know the song
Apparently
that comes into mind for you, and I know it's not truly applicable, but with you being at your outpost, who sang that song? We gotta get you a woman. Somebody to manage your life. 77 degrees in Victoria, Texas, under sunny skies, heading to a high today of 99. That's a lie. You know that's a lie. It'll be 103 by 1 o'clock this afternoon. So there you have it.
Tropical storm Bertha going to cross Louisiana, re-enter the Gulf, then go back, make landfall somewhere around Lake Charles, and then come our way.
Yep, there you have it. The weather brought to you by Maclovio Guayachao. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Scott Tomko says that small neck is for filling a flask. That would be a Mickey. There's Mark Zapata, Crystal Map. What a great group of folks.
No, we had a flask. Mickey was with a bottle you bought that was shaped like a flask, a pint.
Cody Bauman checking in late, Late. He's late, Ash.
Yeah. So where do you want to start this morning? You want to start with Iran?
Why not?
Okay, because, Pete Hague said yesterday, says the war has now cost us $37 billion. I'm not sure that number's, I like how it was phrased by some news outlets. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be half of it?
Congress is picking up the tab. No, Congress is not picking up the tab. We are picking up the tab as American taxpayers.
That's right. I never actually look at the cost of war. I don't think, if you're looking at a situation where you believe the situation may justify military action. Okay, now we've got an echo. Whatever you've done there gives an echo.
Hang on. Carry on a minute. I've got backup headphones. I'm going to go get them.
Okay, well, turn off
Yeah.
Whatever that is on your deal. I can patronize our audience until you come back. Okay, so here's the deal. If you end up in a situation, okay, gentlemen, you're out on a date with your wife and somebody insults her and you're willing to walk away. You're willing to walk away. You're irritated, but you're not looking to get into a fight. And then somebody, they push your wife. A gentleman, a man slaps your wife. You don't say to yourself, I really need to take an aggressive action here, but this is a nice shirt. I mean, this is a nice shirt. If action needs to be taken, certain things don't get major consideration. And when you tell me that something has cost $37.5 billion, you have to at least address that. Well, what are we doing now? Are we putting a price tag on the warheads that we've sent or that we already had? Are we putting a price? By the way, that $37.5 billion will go back into the industrial military or the military industrial complex at the tune of 50 or 80 billion. Did we give too many munitions to Ukraine and other people to where we're somewhat depleted? Is that why we're stumbling around in Iran, as opposed to just ending this mess? I don't know, but I don't think that I guarantee you that FDR didn't say, what's it going to cost to get the aircraft carrier close enough to Tokyo for Doolittle to fly in and bomb Tokyo? It just didn't happen. So I don't know. In the same breath that I tell you there's never going to be peace in the Middle East, it's biblical, folks. Don't tell me you pray for rain and then complain when the rivers swell. Don't tell me that you pray at all, but you're not willing to look at the fact that in the last days, there's going to be an increase in climate-related issues. There's going to be a great increase in knowledge. Hello, data centers. There's going to be a great increase in wars and rumors of war. These things are straight up biblical. We know that there's not going to be peace in the Middle East of any great length, certainly not any, biblical length. May last. We might get peace and quiet for 10 years. I do believe that where we're at right now, at least Iran's not actively trying to develop a nuclear weapon. At least they're on their heels enough that they're not doing that. And I do believe that if they had one, that they would nuke Israel. I do. I think they couldn't wait to do that. So, yeah, and I agree with Bruce Woods. He says, hey, Congress can barely agree on daylight savings time. So why wait for them to declare war? There is a lot to be said for having presidential power. And not to mention that Trump still hasn't declared war on Iran. I don't know. Ash, are you there? Are you back? He says I read his lips well, says trying to get there. Now that he doesn't have that shaggy, bushy mustache thing.
Is that better?
It's better than nothing. Although I have an echo. I'm echoing. I'm on the microphone of your laptop.
Well, there we go. Let's see if this works.
That could be better. It's not. Now, you and I have differed on this in the past, much to the excitement of our audience. But could you turn around right now and just leave Iran? Just go, okay, fine. It's a mess. Let's just leave.
I don't know that you can do that now. We're committed to this thing. That's part of the problem is we are committed to finishing this thing off.
How hard can it be?
Well, that's the problem. I don't think now Trump has said he's going to bomb their underground nuclear facility. It's 250 feet underground under a mountain of granite. I'm not sure our Moabs can get there, even though we claim they can. That's a lot of rock to get under. Right.
So here's Linda Christ, an ardent supporter of the president. She says gas prices are going up again. Ash, that echo is brutal. Is there any way you can put the stenography on the bottom of the page and just read what I say? I will speak in complete sentences. So Linda says, look, gas prices are going up. The stock market's going down. It's time to get out of Iran. And I'm not disagreeing with you, Linda. That's why I posed it as a question. And I'm not judging you, but here's what I would say. The spoiled, entitled, lazy American says, oh man, hey, $4 a gallon and my 401k is struggling. Man, it's time to end that war. Way too expensive for me as an American. What if I told you that you're heading towards a world where the world is trying to drag the United States down to its third world status? That's where we're at.
Is the echo gone?
Yes, there you go. Jonathan Williams says Ash's volume is way lower. Say something now, Ash. Say good morning.
Is the echo gone?
The echo is gone, my brother.
Okay, good.
So here, Greg Garcia. Here's Greg Garcia. Are we going to leave the problem for our kids to deal with? Our parents left it for us. Do we continue to pass the buck? See, what nobody really wants to say is financial cost be danged. It's time to end the regime in Iran. That's what time it is. So I just don't have a problem with staying the course. And I do believe, although I don't fantasize that we're going to have Shangri-La and that all of a sudden we're going to have beautiful Trump resorts in Iran, I do believe that Iran could be a nice country again. They were a really nice country. I mean, return it to being Persia, you know? Get rid of the IRGC. Get rid of this extremist religion-based government where the government.
Here's part of the problem. The world, the only country that seems to have any sort of ambition or desire to rid the world of radical Islam, and basically the Shiites, is the United States. Everybody else accommodates them. And
but here's the problem.
Until the rest of the world gets on board with that,
they can't. They can't get on board, and here's why.
Because they've been taken over.
That's exactly right, bro. They can't get on board because they are now subject to their own Islam problem. It is a problem. And they have now been, you can go back no further than when we decided to invade Iran or bomb Iran. We haven't invaded, right? We're not boots on the ground. When the U.S. said, hey, England, remember when we kind of saved your ass in World War II, and then we built that joint base together that we both own, even though it's on your country? We need to land there to refuel our planes on the way to obliterating Iran. And England said, no, you can't do that. You know why? Because they have too big of a Muslim population to irritate them. Out of self-preservation, they were afraid, man, if we let the Americans land here, we are in trouble. And they acquiesced. So I have to ask you, when you look at NATO, when you look at where we are, the French have already said, please take the country. Just don't hurt the statues. We are in a position, is your geographic ally, is your traditional ally really an ally if their population base no longer supports you as an ally? I'm not saying whether this particular action was right or wrong, Ash. I'm saying, isn't it a given that I can land at the base that we co-own, coexist on, we both have troops on? And England said, negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Well, when was that agreement altered to require British approval to use it?
On the fly, as our planes were trying to land at the base that we co-managed together. But at
the same time, NATO is not an offensive pact. It's a defensive treaty that was designed to react and defend against Russian aggression or Soviet aggression, right?
Right. That base is there with joint ownership so that the U.S. can go and defend England if Russia ever attacks them. That's why it's there. Bruce Wood says, for those that have never traveled outside the U.S., you do not realize the danger of the radical Muslims around the world. So I can even meet you halfway if you say, well, the average Muslim is really a nice person and they're good people. And I agree. I've got some friends close by that are Muslim, and they're not radicalized. They also make a ton of money living in our country. They're all wealthy. You never, ever see a guy in a burqa standing on the corner going, anything will help. Never. They work. And here's part of the problem. And I want to transition into I think we should take a break, and I want to transition into the tragedy that's going on right here in Texas, over in Frisco, Texas. I saw Clayton Helt checked in. Clayton, good morning and welcome in, brother. You guys need to know if you need quality sand for a landscaping project, or if you call call Clayton. He'll send somebody out to analyze your soil. You can't have a great garden or a great lawn without great soil. Whether you need sand, top quality, top soil, clean, weed-free top soil, or you need any level of aggregate, call Clayton Helt. Call 920-SAND. Call White Wing Materials. That's White Wing Materials, 920-SAND. Chestic Furniture, Chestic and Love, make your house a home. Get in today. I'm starting to like the kind of postmodern revival. You can see them. They're the round legs on the bottom of your sofa with a little gold ring around the bottom. Sits up high enough that your Roomba will go right underneath it. Gives a crisp, clean Jetsons look to your home. Bobby Leon and his team can help you customize furniture in their studio where you can have exactly what you want and have it quickly and delivered. It's just awesome. They are awesome. Chestic and Love, make your house a home. Get in and see why you always do better at Chestic. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Get by, play games, make a buck or two, and have a great time. Palace Bingo is there for you. It's always fun. The L&L Grill, the people are super friendly, and the atmosphere is always lively. Get by. And then Went Services. I visited with Aaron Went yesterday, and he said, if you're a licensed electrician and you're available to work, you should call Went. I've known them a long time. They are a fantastic employer and a great place to work. Call Went Services today. So I'm back with Ash. There you are, you handsome devil. What's happening? Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. What do you make? It's not so much that you had one guy running for mayor in Frisco who said, hey, look, man, the influx of foreign-born people into Frisco is overwhelming our city. We need people that move here and assimilate, not people that move here and change our city. And it's real easy to say, well, then vote, man, just vote. This guy was conservative. He was not racist. He was not anti-Islam or anti-Muslim. He did say, look, we've got enough mosques in Frisco. We need to, because the Muslims are using the, if we build it, they will come, the Field of Dreams mantra. And the population of Frisco in the last 12 years has gone from 2% Indian. We probably have that in Victoria. 2% Indian to 33% Indian-born Americans. And not illegal aliens. I'm not disparaging any group. 33% of Frisco is now Indian, Hindu, Muslim, non-Christian for sure. So you look at it, and the conservative guy lost the election. The other guy's position, the guy who won, his name is Mark. I don't know him. Mark said, hey, you see this all over the Dallas Metroplex. Yes, Frisco has a largely growing Indian population, but so does the entire Metroplex. We're just trying to manage the growth. Basically said, hey, Frisco's a good, safe, clean place to live and people work here. That sounds romantic. And you still say, well, if you don't like it, then don't vote for Mark. A third of the people are Indian, and the conservative guy did not get elected. 2/3 of the people, in theory, are natives to Frisco. and the guy that was conservative still did not get elected. And that's fine. That's the decision they make. But I'm telling you that lethargy, that lack of gumption, the not getting off your sofa and going to vote is what is leading people like Mamdani, Ilhan Omar, and arguably, possibly, James Tallarico to positions of immense power in our country. And it will be the end of the republic, as
I think
you
there's
know
a
it.
difference, though. You don't hear of radical Hinduism, right? It's mostly a peaceful religion, but you have enough instances in this country and other Western civilizations where the imams of the mosques are being used to radicalize the youth. And
Right.
we just stand by and all we do is call it out, and we don't take any action against these guys. They can hide behind religious protections. They did it with one of their former servicemen who went in and shot somebody up. I don't remember if that was in Texas or North Carolina, but he was radicalized by a well-known imam at a mosque who was known for radicalizing Muslims. And it's the same ploy that the communists have used for decades, almost a century now, going back to Tsarist Russia.
Yes.
They get the low-educated male who
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Is disillusioned, typically doesn't have a job, and they give them a purpose, and they brainwash the crap out of them, and then they turn them on their own people, including their own families. They isolate them from their families to begin with.
That's right.
And then they slowly re-educate them. It's a complete process.
And it's the long game that they're into.
We don't do enough. A little bit, an interesting decision was made, or ruling was made by INS yesterday or the day before. Anyway,
in the last 48 hours,
the basic automatic adjustment of status for people who are here on a visa as they try to get their green cards will no longer be granted automatically. In the past, you used to have to leave and get that done out of the country in your consulate or by the consulate and then come back. Well, there's more scrutiny on that now. So the adjustment of status will not be an automatic thing. And under the rule, they're supposed to look at all of your background to see whether you've got misdemeanors, felonies, and use it all to paint a picture. Because in the past, basically what they did, unless you're doing an egregious...
or you're wanted for something at that time.
Yeah, they basically said, okay, well, you're not a bad enough risk. Well, now they're going to be able to look and go, okay, you shoplifted here, you've got a DUI here.
You need
the
to go.
pattern of behavior will be indicative. Oh, you're driving a truck illegally?
Unless you're in Minnesota, right? Then you can rape a kid, be convicted of it, and it's just not going to make America fundamentally safer if we deport this guy. Ash, the comments are so good, I've got to share. Bruce Woods says, when U.S. citizens fall victim to Sharia law in one of these protected communities, people will understand. Kathleen Leiniger, deep state government social engineers have deliberately imported these groups to specific areas in our country to change the culture and makeup of our country.
I'll disagree with that comment in one respect. It wasn't deep state government. They were doing it in plain view and hiding in plain sight. We've known this for decades. It was blatantly obvious that the recent what's the term? Basically removing the protected status from all the Haitians that we let in here 30 years ago on a temporary stay.
Right.
They've been here for 30 years temporarily, taking government handouts, And now the Trump administration says, time to go back to Haiti. Well, good luck getting them out of here because we got to go.
By the way,
they probably all scattered. But
going back to Haiti is just like a death sentence. That place is like beyond salvage. Bruce Wood says it's all part of a master plan, and the complacent and dumbed down U.S. citizens have no clue what is coming. I don't disagree. I think you see it in a place like Frisco. Linda Chris says, I only have a problem with immigrants who don't come here illegally and those who don't assimilate. We could really use the tax flow from legal immigration. I just hate making decisions about the sovereignty of our nation based on money. Would you in Victoria? That's a great question for you, Ash, as a very tolerant.
The founding of our country was based on money and taxes.
Well, and not sending them back to the king without representation. I get that. But we didn't secede or separate ourselves from England because we thought, well, gee, we can use that money here. We did it because we were tired of sending it to them with no representation and that little thing called, due process. Radical Muslims will only assimilate long enough for you to trust them and let your guard down. They will never truly assimilate. That is a fact. And Bruce knows. He's traveled the world. Good morning, Torn Bales. Let's see. Andrew Alvarez says they should also tie their money to their visa. So when their visa expires, so does their income. There you go. And I agree. And Linda, I agree with you on this. And I'm going to tell you, it's not a compliment. She says, Bruce Woods, I have known some non-radical Muslims. So right there, just insert backslidden, because their own people, the IRGC, would kill those people. That's the truth. Just as quickly as they would line up a homosexual, just as quickly as they would rape or beat a westernized woman. That is the truth. They will come in and you will either see your complacent, easy to get along with, practicing Muslim become more of a hardline Muslim, or they'll be killed. They will certainly be ratioed, and they will not have the doctors and things, the lawyers, they will not have the influence they have currently by design.
Look at the problems faced right now in some of the Vancouver suburbs like Surrey, British Columbia, where there's a large Sikh population, and they are now, as Andrew Wilkow likes to say, you cannot bring there to here without here becoming there.
And I understand that. If you come here, and I'll even throw it, and by the way, welcome always to our wonderful listeners at Magic 95.9, some of the absolute greatest Texans and most patriotic Americans I've ever known listen every day on Magic 95.9. But I'll throw out to that Latino crowd, because I don't paint that crowd with a paintbrush that says, oh, they all vote Democrat or they all do this, because they don't all do anything. In our community, the Hispanic community works harder than most, raises their family in a marriage more than most, and is the backbone of this community. But I'll say, if you come here from Mexico,
what's going on in Vancouver, the vigilante justice that is allowed in Pakistan and tolerated is now happening on the streets of Surrey, British Columbia. It's happening in the streets of Calgary, Alberta. It's happening in the streets of Mississauga, Ontario, a suburb of Toronto. They don't care about our laws, because if they get arrested, the judicial system up there is just like here. They let them out on personal recognizance bonds or no bonds, and then they flee. They go back to Pakistan through an underground network of folks who can get them offshore, and they're gone. And they don't care. They're never brought to justice. Meanwhile, they will kill and hurt many innocents in exacting their vigilante justice. And if it's happening in Canada, it's going to start happening here, because they don't care about our laws, because they've flaunted them and taunted us with them.
Because they will use our Constitution to take over our country. But I'm going to throw this back to you. If you come here legally from Mexico, And you're telling me that you support Claudia Sheinbaum and you're still waving your Mexican flag. And I sure wish we had the government run healthcare that we had in Mexico. Take your ass back. Go back. Why are you here? Because if you try, and God help us, if you succeed in making the United States into Mexico, we're all screwed. Nobody wants Mexico to be here. Nobody. And if you do, go there. Go home. And I just use Mexico because I just gave you the preamble that our Latino community is a godsend. They're not a burden. They're the best people in this town. And they don't wave the Mexican flag and go, I wish that this place was more like Matamoros.
Why do they all come? Why do they all come here to do this? Because our population has become apathetic. We no longer require people to assimilate to American or Western values, and they can hide behind our Constitution.
That's right.
To do what they want. And our government will not take a stand. Our courts certainly will not take a stand. The minute the Trump administration tries to take a stand, they get fought back by every freaking LULAC-loving court-appointed lawyer.
Who would have thought it?
Judge.
LULAC has somewhat become relevant in the last couple of years, which you hadn't heard from him since the 80s. Monty Howard says, I would imagine that those who have immigrated legally are far more likely to assimilate than those who have come here illegally.
I'll give you an example. Me, I do not want a socialized healthcare system because I've seen how bad it is.
You're too old for a kidney, comrade. You're too old for
a kidney. When you get care, the care is good. If you can get it and when you can get it. That's just one example.
A new knee is elective surgery. You may be on the list for a while.
Or they may take you off the list depending on how old you are and whether they decide somebody who's younger and has more life to live will be better served by that knee.
Do you think that there are cases in Canada where folks buy through influence or other means the opportunity for that knee replacement? They come to the U.S. or you've got medical groups up there that basically now pay. They're outside the healthcare system, and it's a two-tier system for the wealthy and for everybody else. But for the most part, they come to the U.S. or they go to Mexico or they go to Germany. They're leaving the country to get the healthcare because they can't get it there. I'm probably not getting my knee replaced in Mexico. I will tell you this. The demise, the downward spiral that is our republic at this time. And I don't think that I'm like my kids don't even, I'm talking about my older kids, Kendall and Katie and Kyle. All of them are kind of meh about politics. And that's good. I was too at their age. I had conservative views, but I didn't espouse them to anybody. They're kind of like not as bought in that we're on a teetering point. And I have to be aware that I used to think my dad overreacted about things. So maybe I am becoming my dad, which I'd be very proud just to be. If my only fault, well, it's not my only fault, but if my fault was that I was, too paranoid about losing this republic experiment, I would be proud of myself. But Biden, in this perfect storm of demise, was a proponent of, it's not a secret, it's not some judgment of mine, it's observable, a proponent of no borders. Just let them stream across. As President Trump has said, we didn't need new laws on the border. We just needed a new president. And he's right. The official numbers, although of course they're not accurate, they can't be accurate, say that we've literally had no illegal aliens cross the border in months. Now, while we all know that somewhere there's somebody that snuck over here, I get in general, it stopped because Trump said it was going to stop. The problem I've got, and Ash, you and I witness the perfect storm all the time. The utilization of ICE, the deportation of these illegals is absolutely in the national security best interest of our nation. However, Trump is so acerbic. He's so comes off on this issue as so uncaring, and the left does such a tremendous job. This is Juan Carlos Espinosa. He has worked as a baker's assistant for 37 years. Never had a ticket. He loves,
but he's always been looking over his shoulder.
And that's the fault of America. America has failed Juan Carlos. Because and I'm like, no, I can't help. That's like me going, this is Ash. He once robbed a bank, but it's been decades. He invested the money in American companies. Ash clemency and allowed to stay here. No, you're a criminal. Well, that law is kind of like, one joint. Is that really possession of marijuana? That's kind of where we are.
Well, and that's where it started. When we started decriminalizing misdemeanors, and don't get me wrong, we threw a bunch of people into jail that probably didn't need to be into jail. But
yeah.
And then we started, well, they can't really pay the fines, so what does fining them really do? Well, you know what? We never seem to have problems with people paying fines before. It's just a recent phenomenon, which I think is made up. But the minute we start letting one law become lax, the slippery slope began. And, well, they're here illegally. They broke the law. They are a criminal by definition. And we've glossed over that fact.
What if they've never caused any trouble since they've been here? Sure, they snuck in. I mean, look, hey, here's the deal. Tell me the difference. Wait.
A guy sneaks into your basement window and lives in your basement for 20 years without you knowing.
You can't evict him. How about this? Let me ask you this. What if a woman breaks into your home while you're not watching and has a baby in your spare bedroom? Does she now have the right to live there forever? And is that kid going to carry your last name? Because that's exactly what foreign instigated birthright citizenship is all about. And the only reason the Supreme Court, you heard Brett Kavanaugh the other day said, hey, the Supreme Court is not political. That's a lie. The Supreme Court acquiesced on what was a cut and dry decision. The 14th Amendment was never, ever contemplated, much less promoted as an avenue for people that aren't born in this country to bring their unborn children here, have them, and be granted citizenship. Was never, ever the intention. It was 100% 1867, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. It was absolutely put into the Constitution to affirm that, hey, look, man, the kids of freed slaves, they're Americans. You can't deport them. They earned it. They're American.
I have a different take on their interpretation of that. I think what they did was
states
take a stance to not make law and give this back to Congress. Congress has the opportunity to repeal the 14th Amendment or amend the 14th Amendment.
Okay, and that leads me right into this comment by Torrin Bales. The moderate Democrats, remember them? Duquette in Colorado, who was replaced by a girl that was born in 1997 who wants to get rid of the Senate. The moderate Democrats need to wake up and take their party back from the socialist communists that are taking over their party. But I think you should say all of that in past tense. The moderate Democrats should have woken up and taken their party back from the socialist communists who have taken over their party. The buzz, the electable. You remember when Woodrow Wilson Wagner, longtime Democrat Party chairman here in Victoria, came on and said, look, man, my job is to get people elected, not promote a national agenda in Victoria County where it's not popular, won't sell, and will make you unelectable. We have to focus on the things in Victoria County that matter to Victorians. They don't do that. And
but here's the problem with that. If they can get somebody elected in this county, they will then use it to slide
100%.
in the socialist communist platform. That's how they've
100%.
done it everywhere else. So
the long game.
it is a
But
long
see,
game.
So Monty Howard says Carter, the Republican, has come down with a virus that our tolerance has let slip in. However, I strongly believe that the people will only tolerate so much before the virus is defeated. That's Monty Howard alluding to the fact that I think you're looking at some semblance of a civil war. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that the folks that believe in the Republic at some point are going to quit putting up with this crap.
Well, and here's why it is almost inevitable unless we do better at the polls. I mean, the only excuse in Frisco is Americans didn't get out and vote.
Fat, lazy American voter apathy. So I'll throw this back at you.
But communists and socialists have never peacefully taken over a nation ever.
And they've certainly never held one.
They are responsible for more death and destruction than any other fascist regime in the history of the modern world.
And they
Mao Zedong killed 100 million of his own people. Stalin killed, I don't know how many, tens of millions.
They govern by fear. They govern by fear.
So unless we wake up at the polls and do a better job, it is an inevitable fact because history, the left always says, history, Donald Trump, he's Hitler. History, have we not learned anything from history? Well, apparently Republicans haven't learned anything from history and Americans haven't either because communism equals violence and poverty and death and despair.
Yeah. Jonathan Williams says it was so easy to see the dim socialist takeover. They have been trying forever. China jumped in with money and organization, initiated social unrest, and now taking over the government. I'll go a step further. Hey, Joe Biden aided in social unrest. Barack Obama created a division between blacks and whites that just did not exist until Barack Obama took office. Most divisive president ever. No doubt about it. Everything was about race with BHO, all of it. So let me ask you this, Ash. Where do you see where there is no avenue available for the quote unquote next Ronald Reagan? The certainly white. If you're white, make a note of that. If you're white, you believe in Jesus Christ, you're employed, you don't take government handouts, you are unelectable. Nobody wants that guy. That's the status quo. That is, we would rather have a 20-something AOC, a woke Puerto Rican bartender, represents New York City. Well, makes sense now. She's not left enough for Mamdani's group. You will see her begin to acquiesce to the Islamic left because she's not woke enough. And that Democrat quest for power, you've already seen an entire party give up. When I was a kid, the difference between a Republican and a Democrat was how we got to the finish line. It was not that we didn't all have the same goals. The goals were always to advance employment, advance wages, advance America. The Democrat side of things wants to tear it all down. You need to look no further than the official agenda of the Green New Deal. Let's tear down all the government buildings, and then let's build them back with good union jobs that work for the government.
Well, I'm like, and let's build buildings that won't last but 50 years so we can redo it again.
We've got to have these people working on what? On tax dollars.
Well, you talk, here's, this is, there was you mentioned something about China, and this kind of ties in because the declassified information, and again, the mainstream media is avoiding the documents that Donald Trump
Because Trump might
declassified
be right. Trump might
last
be
week.
right. So we got to we can't
Yeah.
pay attention to that.
So I would encourage a lot of you to go to Substack because there's a lot of good independent reporting on there. And Sophia Karstens broke down one of the CIA memo that was declassified last week. Remember Smartmatic, the voting software company? Well, they purchased Sequoia, which was an American voting system company. Venezuela used that system back in 2012. Hugo Chavez manipulated those machines to get, this is according to Sophia Karstens, to give him a margin of about 1.5 million votes in the election that year. Chavez won by 1.6 million votes.
Right.
The memo goes on to state that in 2020, LA, or the LA went and handed Smartmatic a contract worth $282 million to build a ballot marking system there. And it was up and running for the 2020 election. Smartmatic executives are still under indictment in Florida on bribery and money laundering charges. And Venezuela, and then you have the revelation that China was trying to manipulate our elections. Well, how are they doing it? Through Venezuela. You can't tell me that this was a dry run by Hugo Chavez, and it's all lining up to 2020 in Smartmatic, and you can kind of see it all. The wormhole is getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And when it all unfolds, it's going to be shocking and should be absolutely terrifying as to how easy our elections can be manipulated. Then you've got New Jersey governor yesterday going, oh, we found 6,600 illegals that were a software error. Wrongly classified them as eligible to vote, even though they had self-identified as non-citizens and they never should have been registered to vote through the DMV.
And dead people voted in 2020. But here's the deal, Ash. You and I have always agreed on this. The greatest thing that ever happened, and this is one of those things that I think maybe it was just God's timing, literally, because I don't think the United States exists without God's favor. I just don't. I don't think that the Republic could have come together. I believe that to a degree, the Declaration of Independence was somewhat God-breathed by people that sought guidance. I do. And I hate government. So it's not like I'm glorifying. I'm not blindly following our leadership because, I think God put them there. But had Donald Trump won in 2020, we would have gone on with 4 more years of incessant impeachments and garbage that's been going on. People say, why didn't this ever happen to Barack or to Biden? Because that's just not the way the Republicans play the game. It's just not. The Democrats just try to, throw dust onto the hood, and everybody else is trying to polish it. It just doesn't work. It just ends up scratched. But at the end of the day, the best thing that happened was the 4 years under Biden that exposed all the corruption. It's now been absolutely proven that Joe Biden took a whole trove of classified documents. They now have tapes of Joe Biden reading verbatim from classified government documents to his ghostwriter for his memoir.
Yeah.
And their argument, Ash, the way you know that it's true, it's already gone to court. And the court said, no, Joe, you don't have a right to privacy because it's your voice to another individual on the tape. You're reading from government documents owned by the government that aren't yours personally. And the fact that you're reading verbatim and quoting a classified document is treason. Now, everybody's going to go, I can just see Peter McNally. Trump did the same thing. Well, if he did, then ring him up. Everybody knows the Democrats would love to impeach or sue or whatever, indict Donald Trump. They wanted to indict him for insurrection. Didn't do it. Why? Because he didn't do it. What they're saying about this is, and Ash, we talked about this yesterday, Biden's defense is going to be, not from him, but from his team, is going to be Joe was incompetent at the time. Yes, Joe may have been reading the document, but it's not Joe's fault. Joe's out of his mind.
Yeah.
When that happens, they're going to go back to the auto pen. And they're going to say, did you have competence and intent to?
I don't think they'll ever admit that going back. I think they'll say now.
He either goes to jail because he knew what he was doing, or he gets off because he didn't know what he was doing. And when he gets off, then they're going to say, well, fine, then all your pardons are null and void because you didn't know what you were doing.
Here's what's going to happen. They'll never admit to that going backwards. What they'll say now is, oh, he's a decrepit old man who's mentally deficient and he can't stand trial. And that'll be the end of it. And we'll all sit there and
that's
assume
fine. I don't want Joe Biden
just didn't happen today. No, but it does bring into question the whole, legitimacy of his presidency.
And it brings into question, when did the Democrats know? What did they know? And why did they lie to us? Kamala Harris on multiple occasions. I was just in the room with Joe. I'm always the last one in the room. He's as sharp as a tack.
Deny, right? Confirms the allegations.
And yet the Dems are going to run her dumb butt back out there again in 28. She'll at least be on the podium for the debates.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is today, yesterday. Can I get a vodka? By the way, here's one for you. I always like to give these things, these what ifs. What if vodka whitened your teeth? I'm just saying. What if you could market a vodka that just drink up, Johnny, the whitest teeth at the funeral? Something we're thinking about. Let's take a break. Got to take a break here at the end of the hour. Folks, Alan's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Alan inviting you to call if you need him. Alan begging you not to need him. 578-6300. Alan's Wrecker Service. Of course, it is Caldo Wednesday, hence my shirt. Caldo Wednesday, Vera Cruz inviting you in for a steaming bowl of Caldo de Res. It's a beautiful beef soup stew. Nice stock, carrots, onions, cabbage, potatoes. It's beautiful. Get in. USA Foundation Repair. Shim it up. Raise it up. Square up all the doorways. You can literally watch the cracks in your walls disappear, and your doors will open and close freely again. Reach out today, 578-HOME. And then Par Vita Wellness in the Vita Cafe. Erica Briggs and her team inviting you to call them for catering opportunities. They can make gluten-free, light fare. Lots of things that Erica can make for you that are fantastic. They make a wonderful pork medallion, pork tenderloin medallion. Wow.
Lettuce wraps are really good too.
They do a great job.
I like those. I want to leave you with one point from Sophia Carson's piece as well. In it, she cites internal Dominion voting systems. Remember them?
Yes.
Emails from spring of 2020 that admitted they could remote access and did remote access into 2 county election networks. Last week, Donald Trump talked about the vulnerabilities. It's ripe for corruption, folks. I'm not saying it is, but if you have employees that can go into an election network, it's ripe for corruption. And if
by
it
the
happened
way,
in Venezuela on a dry run for China to keep Chavez in power, it's certainly plausible. All of that could have happened to get Joe Biden elected in 2020.
It doesn't matter that Donald Trump told you so, it doesn't matter because Donald Trump told you so. Donald Trump, right, correct, once again, the China virus, Hunter's laptop, selling paintings for access to the president, the IRS weaponized by Barack Obama. It goes on and on and on, which is also why I've always acquiesced that, you know what, maybe our security folks, maybe our national intelligence folks know more about what's going on in Iran than me and my concern about the expense or the fact that we've lost now 17 lives in this conflict, and it cost $37.5 billion. The human toll is more than the money. We build a military to use it. We use it as a deterrent as much as we can. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry to be the one to say it, and I'm grateful that none of it, I hope, affected your life personally. But 17 people in a conflict on the other side of the earth is an acceptable loss. It's a bad morning. It's a bad hour in Ukraine, and that's been going on for years. It's a bad hour in Ukraine. Don't act like Donald Trump is a warmonger who's just throwing American boys into death. He's just simply not doing it. A full third of those people died in a routine plane crash that had nothing to do with the war. I mean, they were doing what they do. They were refueling a plane, and they managed to crash it. Okay, there you go. That's the way it is. We have reached the top of the hour. I want to especially thank the Atzenhofer dealerships. The Atzenhofer studio is glorious in conjunction with John Paul Hull and Mr. James Geets and their amazing relationship with us here at the suites, the offices at 205. We welcome you to come by and see us any time. So hope you guys have a great day. Ash, you got the final word, and I'm gonna bug out of here.
Well, it just kind of hit me as we were sitting there, and the weakness of it's the next Watergate. It's the next Watergate has weakened every government scandal since Watergate, and we've seen it with the dumbing down of you're a when we weaken words like racist and Nazi and fascist, it weakens what actually happened. And the government has done that with Watergate, so that this whole Dominion, all this, the voting scandal and the corruption that Donald Trump outlined last week has been completely ignored by most of the country because we weakened government scandals to a point that we expect government scandals to happen.
That's right. We accept them all now. There's so many. Yep. You just deny it, and the next thing you know, yeah.
And this is huge. Or they completely blow it off. Well, he asked for 11,000 votes, but they don't care about the fact that.
Have you heard that tape? Have you heard that tape?
Yes.
So all Trump says is, "Come on, man, find me 11,000 votes." Everybody who's ever run for office has said the same thing. It's not like Donald Trump said, "Go in there and there's a bag in the locker room. It's got 12,000 votes for me in there. Don't ask to put it there." And put
like LBJ and the Duke of Duval.
It didn't happen. I mean, Everybody has said, "Come on, man, find me 800 votes."
Everybody who asked for a recount hopes they find the votes needed to get them across the finish line.
The ignorant hater left clings on every word. Like if you go back when Trump said there were good people on both sides, he said that after he said, if you're a white supremacist, I condemn you. If you're this group, if you're the Nazis, we will not tolerate you. But in general, there were good people on both sides. The left fixated on that and ran with that lie, that soundbite taken out of context. They ran an entire campaign on it. And turned
what the media,
white supremacist. He's a Nazi. He's a fascist. He's now the Democrat, I think it was the Democrat Party chair said, well, if this is the closest, MAGA is the closest we've ever had to Hitler, without the concentration camps and all the killing and stuff. Oh, okay. without that,
Yeah.
craziness. Folks, we wish you a great day. Ash,
Yep.
have a good one out there. We love you guys. Thanks again, Atzenhofer. Bye-bye.